Welcome to the lively buzz here at the Barbican that is the Institute of Fundraising Convention. Fundraising TV is here to talk about the next big thing in fundraising, and we're delighted to be joined by some of the leading panelists and speakers who've been on stage this week. I'm delighted to be joined by Craig Linton, one of the UK's best known fundraisers, author and speaker on the topic. He's coming along to talk to us about his experiences this week at the Institute of Fundraising Convention. His experience ranges from working with Amnesty International across the world, specifically in Europe, and also fundraising for UK domestic charities, particularly those working with blind and vision impaired people in the UK. Craig, hi, it's wonderful to be joined by the Fundraising Detective. And as people have been telling me here at convention, you're a well-known and indeed a well-loved face in this neck of the woods. So tell me, what have you learned from the convention this week?
Well, first of all, Norma, lovely to see you, and thank you for inviting me to chat. As always at convention, there's a plethora of things to learn and take in, and it's a real smorgasbord of talks and presentations and activity. I think there's a couple of big things. There's some big picture stuff that is really interesting, and a lot around culture and making sure we've got the culture right in our organisations for fundraising, that donors are put centre of what we do when we're considering their needs and really giving them an amazing experience, which I think is very important. And then there's more tactical things of developments in fundraising around digital, and the opportunities that gives us to engage with audiences. And then technology such as virtual reality, which I spoke about the other day, and the opportunities that brings to bring our beneficiaries and donors closer together and really show the reality of many of the situations that we're raising money for, and really making donors connect with that.
How well prepared do you think your fellow fundraisers in the UK are for all these new tools and ways of working that are coming along?
It's like everything. We always think we're always looking for the next big thing, but actually, the basics of fundraising don't change over the years. You still need a great story. You need to tell it with emotion. You need to ask properly and with respect, and you need to be clear what you're asking for. But what these tools do is give us ways to do that to more people, to do it cheaper, to do it more emotionally. So it's how we use the classic fundraising techniques within the confines of new technology and what opportunities it gives us to improve what we do. We shouldn't do something for the sake of doing it. We should be doing it because it makes things better and raises more money, and because that's ultimately fundraisers what we want to do.
You mentioned the virtual reality.
Yeah.
Have you been hearing, more to the point, seeing good examples or hearing about that in the course of this week?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that seems to be top on the list. And one of the things that surprised me, a couple of people got in touch with me after my talk on it, was people assume it's really expensive. And actually now the costs of the technology are really coming down, and a good 360-degree camera is less than £250 now. So this is accessible for charities of all sizes, and it can be a great way of showing animals in your centre. One of the clients I work with has used it to show food being delivered in rural Kenya to children facing malnutrition. You can use it in your hospice to show maybe a bedroom of where patients have been. So there's massive opportunities for us to do this, and it's quite cheap and it's immersive. And one of the things you find is you can watch the videos without the headsets on, right, and it's still very powerful, but it's amplified when you get the headset on and you hear the noises, you can look around. It really increases empathy and increases the emotional response of the technology, and really makes it then natural for a fundraiser to go and ask, you've just seen this amazing experience, how would you like to help that child you've just seen? How would you like to help that animal? How would you like to help that project? So it becomes a very great way to introduce donors to a cause and then inspire them to give, which is what we want to do.
And it's an urban myth that we've got donors falling off chairs whenever they're doing this really immersive thing with the headsets on.
I haven't heard of too many injuries. When health and safety, make sure you do your risk assessment, as all good fundraisers know at events. But I mean, on a serious note, there is some criticisms of, in Australia, for example, a homeless charity had a CEO sleep out, which is a popular event here, and there's this argument, well, you've got these millionaire businessmen watching something in goggles. It's a little bit dystopian future. So we need to be careful how we use the technology, make sure it's appropriate. And I think it's really important to include our stakeholders and our trustees and our service colleagues when we're planning the use of things like virtual reality to make sure we're treating our beneficiaries with dignity. We should always show the realism of the problems that we're tackling, but we also need to make sure that we're respecting the dignity of the people we're working with and for as well.
I know the convention has been looking at the next big thing.
Yeah.
If we'd been having this conversation, say 18 months ago, fundraising in the UK was in a very different place.
Yeah.
Could you give us the benefit of your international and domestic experience? How do you see the sector right now?
Well, I think the UK, it's gone through a really traumatic time. You know, it's gone through a period sort of unheard of in terms of criticism of the practices, and we've had to do a lot of soul searching, and we've had to admit actually we've got some things wrong, and we've got things that we need to get better at and improve going forward around data protection, about the number of asks, about the pressure that we put on people. And actually I think fundraisers have rallied round and embraced that challenge, and I think, you know, today there's going to be the launch of the Donor Commission, the Commission of the Donor Experience, which will lots of great learnings in that and recommendations. You've got the likes of Regare, the think tank at Plymouth University, really pushing the agenda around ethics and around barriers to relationship fundraising and big problems like that. And then we've got the looming GDPR regulations, which means we're all having to do this and really consider around consent and opportunity. But you know, the market for something to believe in is infinite, and you know, our donors, these shouldn't be barriers to stopping giving. And if we get our communications right, if we get our asks right and our technique right, then we should face a brighter future, and we should be delivering better fundraising, which will in turn increase money that we raise. And if we look globally, you know, I think often the UK is looked at for leadership in fundraising. A lot of people look at us and probably the US for ideas, but I think now there's an increasingly, we need to learn from the rest of the world as well. There's some amazing innovations going around globally. You've got micropayments and callbacks in India with SMS. You've got places like the Czech Republic who've actually come together and said, we're not going to do face-to-face fundraising, it's too expensive, we're going to look for new ways to give through digital means and through telephone and other mechanisms. So there's a lot we can learn from the rest of the world as well, and we need to embrace that. And not think we know it all because we've been doing it for so long. And we should always be trying to learn and develop and push our profession forward.
It's wonderful to hear that positive approach to the increased regulation. Are you detecting any dip in confidence among particularly more junior fundraisers who are moving up the line?
Yeah, I mean, they've been beaten up really. You know, someone my age has been in fundraising now coming up 20 years. You know, in the early 2000s, it was a bit of a golden era, the start of face-to-face fundraising, where it was £30, £35 to recruit a donor. That's now £200, and the attrition's gone through the roof. You know, go back to, you know, another 10 years, and it was the golden era of direct mail, where, you know, you could push out 100,000 letters and you know you get an over 1% response rate and it'd pay for itself. Those days are gone, and they're not going to come back. So we need to look at retention and how we keep donors. We can't, you know, we can't overfish the waters. We can't keep asking as we have previously. So we need to get clever and smarter. I think there's a great, bright generation of fundraisers coming through who've had to adapt in this tougher environment, and it should hopefully drive a lot of innovation in the sector. You know, integration of digital into our work and how we develop products and offers and support our experiences that really drive long-term value. It's not just about asking them for the money these days, I feel. It's about delivering a great experience that makes donors happy, inspired, and wanting to give for a long time.
Craig, you and I have talked many times over long, sombre cups of coffee about the role of trustees in relation to fundraising. Has that altered over the last 18 months in your view?
I think so. I think trustees know they've got a bigger responsibility now. At the time, it used to be maybe the last agenda on the trustee meeting, and you know, they rush through it and move on and want to get to the pub for a glass of wine or something stronger sometimes. But I think now there's a realisation that they've got to take responsibility for the governance of the charities that they're running, and they've looked at how they can do that and deliver that in accordance with the guidance being issued from the likes of the Institute of Fundraising, from NCVO, from the Charity Commission, and I know certainly where I'm trustee, we've now got, as a standing agenda item, we've got a checklist of items that we need to to go through to make sure our fundraising is compliant and delivering for our donors. So I think all trustee boards have had a wake-up call, and I think there's more to be done, but generally have tried to address that problem and take more responsibility for fundraising.
If there's one thing that you're taking away from convention this week, what is it?
For me, I think the big thing is around the culture and the culture in our organisations and the culture in our fundraising teams. And if we really want to deliver that amazing donor experience, we also need to deliver an amazing culture for our staff so they can deliver it and empower them. And I think there's a shift from the silo mentality that exists in many organisations to a more collaborative future, not just within fundraising, but working with marketing and services and other teams in organisations to really break down those silos, develop a collaborative culture that then delivers greater income for the causes that we work hard for. So that would be one of the key things for me.
Craig, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure, Norma.
Bryan is the Director of Partnerships and Innovations at the Institute of Fundraising, and he has a really interesting take for us on what the next big thing is in fundraising. Adam, welcome to Fundraising TV. You've had a busy week. How has the convention gone?
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's certainly the best ever. Inspiring sessions, lots of lovely people, and great networking and a great experience.
Good. And I've been hearing a lot of talk around the convention about the next big thing. What are the big things that are coming up in fundraising that you're picking up?
Well, we talked to a lot of charities, and they're all looking to innovate and to find the next big thing. It's a particularly exciting time at the moment with the social media tools that enable organisations to engage with supporters. Lots of talk about making donors feel great about giving. So it's a really, really positive time.
For you, what will be the moments and the people that you'll remember most from this week, especially when you start planning the 2018 convention?
Oh, it's too many to name, but I think all the sponsors that we have that support us, the exhibitors, the delegates, and it really is such an inspiring sector full of really positive, caring people that want to make the world a better place.
What things have you heard or seen or heard the delegates talking about this week that have really inspired you, Adam?
I think how they're going to use new technology to engage with supporters, with plenty of new tech launches in the expo. That's really exciting. And one thing that I'll certainly take from this is that we launched some mindfulness and wellness sessions and started each day with a meditation. So it's actually very nice to go to a session and be told to close your eyes and take off your shoes. So maybe more of that.
More of that. Look forward to seeing that in fundraising workplaces across the country. Absolutely fantastic. I noted on your website you say that you want people to leave here inspired. Is that how you'll be leaving the convention in a few hours' time?
Without a doubt, inspired and tired.
Inspired and tired. Well, I hope you have a really good rest after the convention, and we look forward to hearing you again whenever you've got next year's programme ready to release.
Brilliant. Thanks, Norma. I'd love to come back.
Lovely. Thank you, Adam. John, tell us about the next big thing. I've been seeing people going around convention wearing these vivid red t-shirts. What is it?
The next big thing is a competition that the International Fundraising Consultancy have set up. We're looking for what the next big thing in fundraising may be, and we thought whilst we're here we'd give the opportunity for all these brilliant fundraisers to come up with either ideas or to spot a trend that's going on in fundraising that would form the next big thing.
Have you got some winners for us?
We've got some winners. We've got three winners.
Fantastic. Okay, tell us about the winners. What is their idea and what happens next?
Okay, so their idea, there's the three winners. The winner on Monday, the first winner that was there, was Richard Chambers of the Mission Aviation Fellowship, and he talked about a TV program, a series of television programs that will change the viewer's perception of the sector of fundraising. It'll allow people to really understand and know much more about charities than they do at the moment. And there's more detail in it, but that's the broad heft of what is going on. They'll see and understand fundraising as well.
And the Tuesday's winner, the second day?
Tuesday's winner was Rebecca from the Swedish Childhood Cancer Foundation. and she was talking about online platforms that allow volunteer fundraisers to fundraise much more easily and simply than they can at the moment. But it's also linked into celebrity endorsement and celebrities who will then go out to their people, because on social media celebrities have a huge reach, and enable these volunteer fundraisers to raise far more money than they would normally.
And the overall winner then?
The overall winner was, here, wait for it.
Wait for
was
it.
Anita Ball. Anita Ball is from St Aldwood's Hospice, and her idea was about charities coming together within the sector. The sector probably has an oversupply of charities, and if they came together, shared their ideas a lot more than they do at the moment, particularly in fundraising, so it's not all reinventing the wheel and inventing new things and not sharing them, then what we would have is a great increase in charities' effectiveness and efficiency, both on fundraising and in other areas. So we may even see a series of mergers of charities coming up, and certainly that is a possibility. So we wait and see.
So 3 ideas, you've got an overall winner. What happens to the winning idea?
Each one of those people gets a bottle of champagne, which is great. And also the International Fundraising Consultancy is putting a few days consulting into thinking about what we may do to be able to push on Anita's idea.
Fantastic. So we'll come back to you when Anita's idea has moved on a bit.
You will. Let me present you with a bottle of champagne.
Thank you very much.
And could you tell us a little bit about your idea?
So my idea is that I believe in the future there'll be more and more people that are members of the public that want to be engaged with charities by fundraising themselves on their behalf. So I think in the future we need to empower them to do that in a smooth and easy way that will keep them engaged, appreciated, and want to make them carry on raising money for those charities.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John, tell us about the panel discussion that you chaired on Monday morning about the next big thing.
Sure. It was a very interesting session. We had a lot of people there, and we had some great ideas coming out of our panel. So we had Craig Linton, and he was talking about virtual reality and how that's transformed the work that Amnesty International has done on the streets by allowing people to really see what it was like in the places they're working in, such as Syria. It's made a big difference, it's obviously a big deal, and it's becoming cheaper and cheaper to do. So that's a very interesting idea for the next big thing. That may well transform a lot of fundraisers' fundraising, raise a lot more money. And we had Karen Akiwumi, who had a completely different take on the whole idea. She looked around the conference and saw that there was very few Black and Asian fundraisers there. So what we're really missing out on is a whole range of talent. Now, if we get all those people into our charities, into our fundraising departments and heading up our fundraising departments, being on the board of our charities, then that extra talent would probably be much more effective in raising a lot of money and raising the profile and the experience and the work that charities do on the ground than any single fundraising technique. So that was her take on it. And then we had Amanda Horton-Mastin from Red Nose Day, and she talked about Red Nose Day and how they've tried various ideas that didn't work, which was very interesting, and a lot of ideas that look like working. And really she's empowering about people to be able to fundraise for the charity. And the things she's noticed with the up and coming fundraisers are that they need to be able to get people to donate very quickly and very easily. So that it's not a whole long process, it's a very rapid process. People can give when they feel like giving, and they can do it easily without having to do any elaborate process. And being able to smooth that out is beginning to change their fundraising income.
Bill, welcome to Fundraising TV.
Thank you very much.
As the Chief Executive of the International Fundraising Consultancy, what have you got out of this week at convention?
It's been a really good week, actually. I've gone to some great sessions. What I've really enjoyed is hearing the case studies of different charities and how they're working, and there's been some really interesting stories about innovative legacy fundraising and trusts and major donors and all those different sorts of things. But I think really what I've enjoyed is meeting up with people. There's people I run into here that I don't see from one convention to the next, but it's always great to have that chance to talk to them and catch up.
They reckon, IOF, that there are 38 hours worth of networking. Do you think you've fulfilled all 38 hours?
We're not done yet. I think there's still a bit of time to go. But I think I've done my fair share, yes.
We've been talking about the IFC competition, the next big thing. From your perspective, what is the next big thing coming along in fundraising?
I think that's really difficult to say, and I think what's interesting about convention is you get all those different perspectives on it. And I think with the, obviously technology is a huge factor, and how we use social media and digital and all that side of things, and how we deal with just a changing environment, economic environment. So as money moves to wealthier people and to older generations, and people have money tied up in their houses, and it's just how we as fundraisers can use that to leverage the funds we need for our charities.
And year on year, because I know you visit each year, are you really hearing new things every time, or is it too cynical to say there's nothing new under the sun?
I think there's always new things, there's always innovations, and that's what's so good about it. What I have enjoyed this year is it seems to have been different speakers who I haven't heard before. So it's those different perspectives, and I think the value of convention is that anybody can come and talk. If they have a good idea, they can put in an application and come along and present their session. Which is exactly what I did, and that's why I presented a session earlier in the week and really enjoyed that as well.
Fantastic. If we'd been having this conversation 18 months ago, things were very different then. What's your take on the morale and confidence of fundraisers in the UK at the moment?
I think it took a real knock. I don't think there's any way we can get away from that. I think a year ago everybody was really confused about what we could and couldn't do. And to an extent that's still there, but I think there is an element of positivity coming back, I think there's a recognition that actually we can keep going. There are still the possibilities out there. And fundraisers are a creative bunch. They will find a way to solve the problems. And we all want to do the best. We don't want to be seen to exploit our donors or treat them in the wrong way. And by and large, charities don't. There's a very, very few cases, I think, where charities have done wrong things. Obviously that has happened, and we need to acknowledge that and be honest about it. But most of the time it's about finding that best practice and making sure we're delivering it. And I think there is that positivity coming back, that actually there is a way forward here.
How prepared do you feel most of the charities in your experience are for the new regulations coming into effect?
Getting there. I think that there's still that confusion about exactly what it means. And I think the Institute is doing a lot of work to try and answer some of those questions. But there is that sense of being pulled in lots of different directions. And I think as a sector we really need that clarity. And that's what's lacking at the moment, is exactly what we can and can't do, what is best practice, what we should avoid doing and what we should be careful about. Progress is being made, but I don't think we're there yet as a sector.
Bryan from the Institute was telling us that one of the things they want is for people to leave feeling inspired. Is that how you're leaving at the end of today?
Yeah, I think so. I think just having that chance to talk to other fundraisers, see what great things people are doing, it does help you get inspired and feel more energised about things. So yes, I think I am.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Norma.
John, what inspired you to get Fundraising TV up and running?
It was really part of our global mission to change the whole world. And we hope the Fundraising TV will be taken up by fundraisers around the world, not just in the UK, but across Europe, around the rest of the world as well. And there's a thirst for knowledge about fundraising. And really what fundraising does is to fuel the charity's growth, which means that those charities, wherever they are, or those parts of civil society that we're reaching, can actually do their job a whole lot better, because they'll have more funds, they'll grow and expand and be able to deal with their missions in turn.
And have you had feedback at the Institute of Fundraising Convention about Fundraising TV?
Sure, people love Fundraising TV. We've got a lot of subscribers and we're hoping for a lot more. It's certainly taking off.
John, our viewers have had an opportunity to get a flavour of Fundraising TV. What happens next?
So what happens next is that the International Fundraising Consultancy is going to set up an educational charity. And the idea of that charity is to develop Fundraising TV so that we can influence the public about fundraising and fundraisers and charities to help them raise a lot more money so they can work with their beneficiaries and to develop all the programs that they do.
We've had a range of innovative, informative highly experienced fundraisers on the programs. From the analysis of who's been watching and when, are there particular things that are clearly more popular than others?
Really what people are interested in is listening to fundraisers who are out there practicing their fundraising, actually doing it, and hearing their conversations, hearing what they're saying about their fundraising. And that's something that really you don't get elsewhere.
And looking forward to the next series of programs then, the next big thing in fundraising that we'll be covering, any idea what's going to be on the slate for those programs?
We will see. There's a lot of fundraising techniques out there, there's a lot of development in different areas, but there's also a lot of basic practice that's going on now that needs sharing around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you for watching Fundraising TV from the Barbican and the Institute of Fundraising Convention 2017. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the speakers from the convention. We hope you've picked up a flavour, a bit of the buzz from the convention, and thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.